Welcome to the YouTube Sports Network. I am your host, and today I'm going to talk about JT Realmuto for the fifth time. I say the fifth time because I just put out a video and I deleted it within probably like 18 hours. I watched it back, I wasn't too satisfied with it. It's kind of, it didn't have any luster. There was something about it, it lost its luster. I don't know, something was off. So I decided to go back and do another one. At least stay on topic in 20 minutes. I think it's because it's 20 minutes. And just by me seeing alone that it's 20 minutes, it's not appealing. Like I put it out, I'm like, damn, that's 20 minutes. I don't think I'd even want to watch that. So if I'm saying that and I'm seeing it and I did it, I created it, I was like, who the hell wants to watch a video? Somebody talk for 20 minutes straight. I mean, there were times that we did that. It was, and it still exists today. I mean, maybe even what I'm saying, maybe even when I watch it, I'm like, it's not bad. I was actually pretty good. And I mean, not trying to sound biased, but I don't know. But in that moment, I felt 20 minutes. Jesus, I mean, it's a long time, man. So at least 21 minutes and 34 seconds. It said. So I got 1, 2, 3, and 4 all in there. So maybe I should have kept it in there. That wasn't even planned. It just came out that way. That was pretty cool. All right, so now I got 2 minutes in. So let's get into the JT Realmuto. Let me practice getting this in at a reasonable time. I already put one out about Tampa Bay Rays getting him, but this board is very similar to what it looked like in the last video. I put this here, Tampa Bay Rays, semicolon, list of catchers, and this year, in 2024, and in 2023, so the last 3 seasons. And then I put how many catchers have they used? So like a general question. And I came back and I answered these. Previous contract I wrote down, and I said previous contract determines his next contract. In a way, I feel like that because obviously what you earned previously, we gotta look at, what they're gonna look at, because all these numbers are important. I mean, he's not going to make 23 million. He's going to make something, what I think, and I'll tell you in a moment what I think he's going to make. But yeah, previous contract determines his next contract. Maybe the word determines is a little strong there, but all things are considered when it comes to contract. Current age, you made your previous deal, what the current market is now, at your production level and your age and your position, and what position you play amongst your peers, your fellow mates at the position. It's like all these factors and metric variables are considered and reviewed. But we'll get into his next contract in a second. But to go back to here, how many catchers have the Tampa Bay Rays used? I went as far back as 2019. I just kept going back on the list. I kept writing that list down. And it comes down to 19 catchers the Rays have used since 2019. I know they're versatile, they have a lot of roster turnover, but even for the Rays, this is a lot at one position. So, especially in the span of 7 seasons, this is a lot, right? 2019, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 7 seasons. That's a lot of catchers. And being that I got to name them, this is in the last 3 years. So 2025, 24, and 23. Danny Jansen, Nick Fortes. Jansen wound up on the Brewers. Fortes, I think, lasted most of the year. Hunter Verducci, I think he's from the Dodgers. Ben Wardvitt, speaking of Dodgers, wins a World Series with them. He actually was in the postseason with them, Ben Wardvitt, with the Dodgers. Matt Thaiss, I thought he was going to hit a home run with the Rays. In fact, I bet on it, and I told my friend, I'm telling you, I've seen this trend. Do it. Every time a guy goes with a new team, he's gonna hit a home run that day. He's gonna hit a home run in his first game. Well, he didn't just not hit a home run in that game. He didn't hit a home run in any of the games he played with the Rays that season, which I think was like 30, 40 games, but maybe even more. I'm not sure. I gotta look. But not one. 0 homers, 8 RBIs, I believe. Damn. He has a nice home run swing. He's got like a Matt Stairs type of finish. Alec Jackson, he was with the Yankees last year. He's been around Braves, I believe. Not much there. Rene Pinto, we thought no offense, ain't not much there, but you're not getting much out of him offensively. Pinto, you thought this guy was kind of going to probably emerge and at least be factored in this year, but yeah, a couple years ago, good year, but nah, he fell off, I guess. Logan Driscoll played like 13 games. Rob Brantley played like 2 games. Christian Betancourt was with a tandem with Mejia and somebody else. Maybe Zinio, maybe somebody else. Betancourt, converted pitcher turned catcher. This is why I go 20 minutes. I can't help myself. I got to give you guys a little quick, what I know, breakdown of the player in case anyone's listening and they're like, oh, who are these guys? Betancourt, Christian Betancourt, converted pitcher turned catcher, hit 11 home runs with the Rays a couple years ago. I mean, I still like this guy. He's got a hell of an arm. I think there's a spot for him. Mejia, he's not on the roster now. But Mejia, Francisco Mejia, he was supposed to be a catcher of the future. They got him. He was like 23, 24, 25 or something like that. About 24 and 25. I haven't seen him in 2 seasons. I don't know where he's at now. Mike Zunino, in 2021, he hit 33 homers for the Rays. I'm not sure if that's a club record for a Rays catcher, but 33 home runs for a Rays team that went 162, by the way. So let me segue into that. So Zunino, I don't even know where Zunino is right now either. But I'm going to segue because the Rays have had 2 straight losing seasons. I should put that up here, but because it's odd for a Rays team, believe it or not, even though people always wonder where they're going to finish, but people do know they're going to be competitive and at least finish with a winning record. The last 2 seasons, they've had a losing record. In fact, 2 years ago was 80 and 82, and this previous season was, I think it was like 77 and something else. I have it right here. I have it written down one of these places, but I believe it was like 77 and something else. The point is, and I gotta find it. The point is that let's see, 77 and 85. That's a tough record for the Rays. That's like pretty. I would say way below average. It feels like from a Rays team within the last decade. But because Kevin Cash, if I don't know if people know this, and then when I saw it, I was like, oh crap! I know he's been there for a minute, and he's gotten a lot good. He has winning seasons, but Kevin Cash has 896 wins as a manager. That's a lot of wins. I mean, that's 4 away from 1,000. I looked at the list, and I believe he's like 60-something all the time. But still, and there are a good amount of managers with 1,000, but he can, over a few seasons, if you get into the 12 and 1300s, he's really getting into a list of a part of the list or a portion of the list where you're kind of separating yourself from a lot of, or entering a different class. So, I mean, I hope he sticks around with the Rays. I mean, I'm not saying, I hope they win a World Series at one point under his belt so he can work his way into the Hall of Fame for all we know. I don't know. I mean, 896 is very underrated, is what I'm getting at. Very underrated amount of wins. I believe Boone has like 697, near 700. And think about how long it feels Boone has been around. I believe Cash has been around longer, and if they've been around the same time, then Cash has just had more wins obviously during the same span. But Kevin Cash, underrated. I believe 2-time manager of the year. He's just missing that Hall of Fame, that World Series win under his belt, and you never know. So, JT Realmuto, good follow up after talking about Kevin Cash and a triple over Realmuto's name. JT, I'm just gonna call. But his previous deal paid him $23 million a year. It was 5 years, $115 million, and that was aged 30 to 34 seasons. And I believe that was his 6th or 7th season with the Phillies. So he got that big contract. His previous contract, I think, was around like 10.9 or 10 million. The year before, the contract before that was around like 5.9, and the year before that might have been around like 3. So he took his arbitration deals. He got his arbitration deals, and then he struck on a huge deal. I think his next contract, if I'm going to predict it, or at least give some figures, I'd say they probably should have around a 3 year. I came up with 3 year, 33. I don't know why that stands out to me. 3 year, 33. We see those numbers and figures a lot in contracts and numbers like that and certain. I feel like in whether it's stats or contracts, for 3 for 33 in a way, just because I see 2 for 25. The reason why when I first thought 225, I thought Connor McDavid, but I thought Connor McDavid also because I also thought about Salvador Perez. Connor McDavid signed a 2 year, $25 million contract, who plays hockey, with the Oilers, for those who don't know. He's the best hockey player in the world. He signed for 2 for 25, which many would consider a bargain and a hometown discount, big time. Salvador Perez, long time catcher for the Royals. I've only played there. He signed a nice, what many would say is a hometown discount with the Royals, 2 for 25. Salvador Perez and JT both play the same position. They're both of what they would consider advanced age at the position. I think Salvy's maybe a year or two older, but I feel like they're going to get comparable rates. If anything, we're not going to see 23 from Realmuto. We'll probably see more in the, maybe you'll get 15, maybe for a team that's going to outbid another who really, really wants him. Not saying that Realmuto is not $15 million a year worthy, but I was taking a look at the contracts. This is where I would pop up the list. I have it here, but electronically. And the contracts for catchers in the MLB, I believe Will Smith of the Dodgers is around third or fourth, and he's making about 10. He's making 10 million plus. But his contract, it was an odd one, and I thought actually that was a pretty good deal. More so for the Dodgers. I think Will Smith could have got more money, per season, but maybe around the 12s, maybe around 13, 14. I gotta look at that again, but I know that when I saw that deal, it definitely caught my attention for sure. Most contracts I love looking at, but that one really got my eye. The Dodgers, I feel like, have a tendency of giving out these interesting contracts. So anyway, I gotta start wrapping this up. We're at 12 minutes and 21 seconds. Symmetry there. So I'm thinking, I saw 2 for 25, and I'm thinking third year maybe, and his 37th, he's gonna be 37 at that point. I see him maybe being like a player option. So if you get 2 for 25, and I see the player option, maybe mutual option. I don't see maybe team option. I think the power is going to be more so in Realmuto's hands. And I think, but just to protect the team or protect themselves, the Rays I think will give him about an $8 million contract. I think $8 million is still around top 10, top 5, top 6 or 7 as a catcher. I think Mitch Garver is making $10 million a year too. He has a double-digit figure, but that was, I think, on the heels of having a pretty good last year of his deal, and then he signed a nice contract. You haven't really heard much of Mitch Garver, but he still is a good player. I just haven't heard much about him. But that was the rate at that time. So we'll say around, maybe for JT would be around 12, considering what we know as far as the salaries are concerned. So I can see it being 2 for 25 initially. You add the 8 player option, it becomes a 3 for 33. So what would be his yearly salary? Maybe average out about $11 million per year, which would still put him as top 5 as a catcher. And 35-year-old catcher, there aren't many around. In fact, like I was just thinking, and just saying, I think the only one around is Salvador Perez. And even Salvi is playing first and DH every now and then. But the point is, there aren't many guys around at that age playing catcher. So I believe that JT would probably earn or get about a $12 million to $11 million a year averaged out over this course, unless he wants to become a free agent at 37 and then sign maybe a 2 or 3 year contract. Who knows that? We'll get into that another time, I'm sure. So what I'm thinking, just to pivot, talking about JT's contract, what he is, I think a guy, when I look at him and then I plug him into this Rays lineup, I think that the Rays, they have a good lineup. Right now, they're in 2025, they were ranked 15th in runs a game, but they were tied for 8th in batting average, and on base percentage, they were 19th, right? In runners in scoring position, they were 7th, and runs in runners in scoring position, they were near top 10. They were 12th. I'm mentioning this because Realmuto is going to help offensively. defensively. And whatever he does offensively is going to be the cherry on top because the Rays really haven't had a really good what they consider WAR. They haven't really ranked very highly in the WAR department for catchers, and not necessarily. It wasn't even anything that they rely on offensively for their catchers. But if you want to talk WAR from the catcher's position, they've been 19th in 2025. They were 27th in 2024, 19th in 2023, and then 21st. First in 2021, where Zunino was there and smacked 33 homers, so it does make a difference there. Clearly, I'm assuming. And 2020 in the World Series, they were 25th in WAR from the catcher. So they went to the World Series, shortened season, but they were still at 25th. So I just think that a team like the Rays, where they set up right now, the lineup currently as it stands, adding a Realmuto is going to round out a position and really solidify a spot that they've been using so many players in. Yeah, the Rays pride themselves on being versatile and flexible, but I feel like adding a guy like Realmuto with his, all the intangibles. He's a leader. He's great defensively. He's going to provide stability. He's going to hit. He's going to provide, good at bats. He's going to drive in runs. He's still going to, his power numbers may be down, but maybe a change of scenery will do him good. But again, what he offers overall as a player, I think right now with the Rays, after having 2 straight losing seasons, and I think they're ready to turn that around and get back into the race. And the lineup currently as it stands with Jonathan Aranda, who's a very good on-base, low strikeout, sneaky power guy. Brandon Lowe, who's hitting for power as a second baseman. Junior Caminero, who had a sneaky 40 home run season last year. Not many people talked about it. 21 years old as well, by the way. Carson Williams, one of the top, in fact, the top positional prospect, I believe, at the time for the Rays, has graduated to the majors. Does he stick around? Does he start with the Rays in 2026? Most likely. Yandy Diaz, very good player. Rays could have traded him, have not traded him. Very good, solid player for any team. Probably has the intangibles to be a World Series winning player because he's that type of guy, type of hitter, and type of batter in the lineup. Christopher Morel, my guy, we're all waiting for him to cut down those strikeout totals. He's got tremendous power. He's got positional flexibility if he can put it together. Chandler Simpson, very good center fielder. One of those, he could be like a Kevin Kiermaier type, where he's going to be around for a while in the Rays outfield by way of his defense and by getting on base, scoring runs. Sneaky good player. And Josh Lowe, feels like he hasn't quite reached his potential. I don't quite remember his stats, but this is a guy that you're not sure what you're going to get, but he has a lot of flashes. And he's a good athlete. So if this team really stay healthy, stick together, you add a JT, you don't have to use so many catchers. You can solidify this guy for 2 to 3 years at a reasonable rate because he's coming off a big deal, and he's most likely not going to anything close to that. And it's gonna be a big sweepstakes. I feel for JT, but I feel like the Rays should really consider adding a guy like him for all the intangibles, everything that he's done with his resume. And he's really just about 30. He's turning 35, I believe, March 18th. He's going to be a great ad no matter who gets him. But I think the Rays would do themselves a huge service or a huge benefit by bringing him onto their team and locking in that catcher's position and that leadership spot for this young Rays team. And honestly, I think he comes at a reasonable rate. So that's my take on the JT Realmuto. Answered a couple questions that I posed, or at least I wanted to get to. A lot of catchers, a lot of players here moved on, are still maybe sticking around, but have all played within the last 3 seasons. I think you solve your catcher vacancy right here, and he checks a lot of boxes. All right, thank you for listening to the YouTube Sports Network. That's the contract right there. Sorry, I was going to say, I think that's the contract he makes. Thanks for listening to YouTube Sports Network. I'm out of here. As you can see, we got a lot of things going on ahead of us. I got a lot to say in a little bit of time. I used to say that a lot. I have to incorporate that back in. But comment, like, share, please. I'll take all that. Appreciate that. Most importantly, please listen.